On today's DNVR Broncos podcast, we're dropping our second live mock draft. Who's going to fall to 20 to the Broncos? Plus, we're talking to our draft expert, Fran Duffy. And could the Broncos be interested in Breece Hall? All of that starts now. Mock draft season, baby. Our mock draft 2.0 dropping today on today's DNVR Broncos podcast, where, of course, we're live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your local front range Toyota stores. And it is a heck of a day today. I got Ryan Koenigsberg to my left, Henry Chisholm to my right. We got Dion and Alyssa behind the camera. Zac Stevens rocking and rolling with you today. Hello, Toyota chat, and hello, fellas.
What up?
How we doing?
Amazing.
I'm feeling it feels like a Friday. I don't know why. So maybe tomorrow's going to feel really bad, but...
It's because the Masters starts tomorrow.
That is what it is.
Actually,
I can't wait.
I know why today feels so good. I am so freaking pumped for tomorrow's show.
Oh.
You guys have no idea what's about to hit you.
One show at a time, Zach.
Two big things are going to hit everyone tomorrow. One is some big news, and one is a huge get. That's how I'll tease it.
Imagine if Bo Nix, actually in his pregame interview, if he had this before week 1, he was like, I cannot wait for week 2.
Wow.
Am I overlooking today's show?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Some are saying.
I am. But you know what? We're going to crush it.
It's a trap show.
Because it's a trap show. Let's hope we don't fall through. But I got good teammates around me to help make sure that I don't overlook it too much. So why don't we dive in?
You're not just excited because Ryan's going to be gone, are you?
You didn't have to expose me like that, Henry.
Okay.
Jeez. That seat will be filled tomorrow. But you're back Friday. We're not losing you for the whole week.
Nope.
So it's clearly not
Thursday
just you being
either.
gone that makes me pumped.
Yeah, maybe I don't want to be here.
Wow.
Too much pressure. The bright lights.
Yeah, well,
Exactly.
you're really going to have to show up Friday after tomorrow's show.
All right. I'm going to show up today, too. That's how I roll.
Well, let's do it, and let's see if you roll like Breece Hall rolls. Because, guys, a very interesting report dropped from ESPN. Their Jets beat reporter, a guy that's been around the Jets for a long time, Rich Cimini?
Cimini. C-I-M-I-N-I.
I never
see his
hear
name.
these
Yeah,
guys'
I've never-
names said.
yeah,
I
you
just
never-
always see it. Rich
yeah.
Cimini, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, Rich Cimini out in New York.
Yeah.
So a report drops from him. Again, a guy's been around the team for a couple of decades. You typically trust. And he said that there's going to be a new look backfield for the Jets under Aaron Glenn with less touches for star running back Breece Hall. Aaron Glenn wants to go with a committee in New York, despite having what a lot of people would say is a top 5, top 7 running back
Yeah, first Aaron
in the
Glenn
NFL.
red flag.
Yeah, seriously, right there, kind of pissing off your second best player by doing this. And then in the report, he continues to go on to say Hall is a gifted player who would attract interest if dangled in trade talks. Perhaps the Jets would consider moving him if Boise State star Ashton Jeanty is available with the 7th pick in the draft.
Okay.
What do you make of this, first off?
Like I said, kind of a red flag for me that they're already like moving off of Breece Hall. For what?
Well, I think it's because this is the last year before they have to pay him.
Class.
So if he goes out there and says like, I want Saquon money, and they say like, we still don't think like you've never been a 1,000-yard rusher. We don't think we should be giving you $10 million a year. That's the kind of thing that would kind of make sense.
Wait, $10 million a year? He might say I want $20 million.
He might say it, but I mean, even 10 would be a lot. Again, like he had 994 with 591 receiving yards that year, so that is valuable. But
How many games?
he missed one game last year. He didn't miss a game the year before, but only played the 7 the year before that, before the ACL, I want to say.
Yeah.
And they've kind of like never let him be the full-time guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had Dalvin Cook one year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A mistake.
Yeah, they had another guy.
Who was that?
Oh,
Oh, Michael Carter. was in there. And Braylon Allen,
Yeah, they drafted him and Carter like year after year, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Braylon Allen this year was kind of getting a good chunk.
That's weird because 2 years ago, he averaged 4.5 yards per carry, played every single game, and was 6 yards short of 1,000 yards rushing. Now, like Henry said, he also had almost 600 through the air as well. But it does feel like, why would you limit a guy, especially a young running back, especially if you might not even sign him to a second deal? I'm sorry, but run him into the ground at that point, and they haven't done that, which is bizarre.
Yeah, but that also, the contract thing makes it kind of add up for me. It's like their strategy might just be never pay a running back, just keep reloading. They got Braylon Allen, so they're like, we'll just move on to him and then maybe get another one this year and then move on to him.
Yep.
And so now it's starting to come together for me. But it's at almost 600 yards receiving that intrigues me the most.
Yeah. And without having watched a bunch, it feels like it's a lot of like the Najee Harris or like Omarion Hampton even type receiving yards where it's like dump it off to him in the flat, let him go. Or like little screen pass, let him go. I don't think it's like Joker stuff where it's like put him at slot receiver. But I could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
Either way, like it's still valuable.
For sure. I mean, at the very least, he's displayed hands.
Yes.
Well, and last year, so that was 2 years ago that Henry was saying 76 catches for 591 yards. Last year, 57 catches for 483 yards. Just to put that in perspective of production from a running back, he almost had as many receiving yards from a running back that the Broncos' leading rusher had rushing yards last year. Javonte Williams just had over 500 rushing yards last year as the Broncos' leading rusher. So the production is there. It's just a little more divided. It's not all running. So to bring this to a Broncos perspective, we know the Broncos have one big hole, maybe two if you want to count receiver, but definitely one big hole at running back. If a running back, a proven running back, a good running back's available, should the Broncos be interested?
Interested, yes.
Yep.
The price really has to be right, though, given this draft class. You could take two running backs in this draft class and be very set for a while. Now, there's a gamble that is involved there. You know, as confident as we could possibly be in any of these running backs, like all the way down to Devin Neal. He hasn't proved it the way that Breece Hall has.
Yeah.
And so if you can get a proven commodity at the right price, especially given it's kind of a 1-year deal, then you should be interested. But something tells me the Jets aren't going to put him in the clearance rack.
Yeah. He reminds me a lot of Omarion Hampton. Like, I think the receiving stats kind of sparked it, but it's that exact same, like, big back type style guy who can run, too. So I think that if it's him or Hampton, it's kind of a toss-up to me. Anybody else, he's probably better, you would imagine, than who they get. But then you have to factor in, you also have to pay him. And so if you're going to wind up giving him a 4-year, $60 million contract next summer, then all of a sudden, like, just because he's the equivalent player maybe of a first rounder, the value's more like 4th round.
Yep.
Totally. And that's why if I'm the Jets and in this scenario, Ashton Jeanty falls to 7, he gets past the Raiders at 6, he falls to 7, and the Broncos call and they say, we'll give you 20 for Breece Hall, then I'm doing this if I'm the Jets. I'm then moving back in the draft, having a 1st round pick, but I'm getting Ashton Jeanty there. I would do that. If I'm the Broncos, no way am I trading pick 20 for Breece Hall. So
not even anywhere near pick 20.
Exactly. So that's why this all boils down to what you said. You're interested, but it has to be the right price. The Broncos are not going to jump on this and just do whatever it takes to get him. And you said nowhere near pick 20. What are you thinking?
A 3rd round pick at the highest.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody offers a late second. I think it'd be an overpay, but when somebody like this hits the market, that's how auctions work, is you wind up with an overpay. But
really auction-minded right now.
No, I really have been. A lot of spreadsheets. But yeah, I think, like, realistically, if the Broncos gave a 3rd for him, I'd say good deal. If they gave a 2nd, I'd be like, probably not, like, perfect, but I'd be super excited about it.
It depends on what the demand is.
True.
Because sometimes the opposite happens, where everyone's like, that guy went for a 6th?
Yeah.
But the team was ready to move on from him, and, you know, they got their bell cow, and they wanted to get something for him.
Yep.
Give me a day 3 pick. I I don't think I'd even do it for a third because of how deep this draft is at running back. And the other thing is there is a little concern about where he's trending right now. So in 2022, he got that injury. It was the ACL. Before that, he was rushing for 5.8 yards per carry. Incredible. The next year, he comes back and goes for 4.5 yards per carry. Okay, still good. Last year, 4.2 yards per carry. So not trending in the right direction for an aging guy. That's probably why.
Everybody's aging.
Well, yeah, exactly. A guy that's not trending in the right direction.
25?
He'll be 24 this year.
Oh my God.
That's old for a running back. He will be, he'll be 24 before the season starts. But no, just trending in the wrong direction. So, yeah, I'd do a fourth.
But yeah, I mean, I said at the highest.
Yeah.
I would prefer to do a day 3 pick, but I think if the Broncos did a third round pick, I wouldn't be like, what are they thinking?
Totally. I would give up the third. I definitely would. I mean, he's a good player. Like 4.2 yards per carry, not the greatest. There were 14 teams that didn't average 4.2 though. And the Broncos were one of them. And if you get that up to 4.5 like it was the year before, then all of a sudden there's only 10 maybe who got that from like their group. I think that you take him away from the Jets offensive line and put him behind the Broncos offensive line, the numbers will get real better. It's similar to my argument for Najee Harris, except even better because the numbers are even better. So I think a third is a good deal.
I think.
And a second, if they did, I'd probably wind up liking it.
And when you talk about the auction and how it drives prices up, well, the Broncos probably have an advantage over every other team in the NFL when it comes to if there's an auction for Breece Hall because Darren Muji is the GM. They're best friends with George Payton. And those things do come into play. Like if the Broncos could tell him, hey, we're interested, let us know what your best offer is and give us an opportunity to match it. And you know what? A guy that's only worked with the Denver Broncos before getting this job with the Jets would probably give the Broncos that opportunity. Same conference, but different division. They do play this year, but if they think Breece Hall is this good, are they really just going to give him up for a third, fourth round pick? Probably not. So
they clearly don't think he's good at all for some reason.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the coach, and if
there's also the Jeanty factor.
Yeah.
They also think like we get the upgrade, we save the money, we can get a pick back.
Yes, that part makes sense.
But if you're them,
but even like the starting of like we don't want to give him as many carries is like crazy.
Yeah, but I mean that's also like I would say Sean Payton loves Alvin Kamara, but at the same time didn't give him a bunch of carries because it's just a 2-back system. Like sometimes when you love something, you protect it, and so you don't just say like we're gonna run you into the ground. We're gonna make sure your career is a little bit longer.
Speaking of Alvin, he was up at your alma mater.
Really?
Yeah, earlier this week.
Like 250th coolest person to come by this since Coach Prime became the coach.
And without like the nose ring, probably like 350th.
Yeah.
Is that out?
No,
it's he has got that little bowl ring.
Yeah, but you said without.
He's saying like that gives him
but
100
if he didn't have it,
yeah.
Like he's, the style factor.
Damn, well, so
I hate that that's become normal to me, but it has.
Just like people are always at practice.
Yeah.
I was thinking more of it like, Alvin's in Colorado.
Imagine like when I was covering Colorado, Alvin Kamara's up there. It would have been crazy.
You would have written a story
They're like,
about
look, this guy's at absolutely. People would have been hyped. It would have blown up on Buff's Twitter, which would have meant like 450 likes on the tweet. Blowing up was a little different.
Well, something that hypes people up is giving a shout out to our friends over at Lucy. And if you want to be hyped up, Lucy Nicotine can get you hyped up. It's 100% pure nicotine, always tobacco free. Lucy Breakers are nicotine pouches with an extra surprise. Each pouch holds a capsule that can be broken open to release extra flavor and hydration. So if you want the Lucy Breakers, you can get them. If you want just Lucy Nicotine, you can get that as well. You can set yourself up with a subscription to have Lucy delivered straight to your door. They have so many flavors, and of course, they have so many different strengths. So if you want to get started, if you want a higher buzz, you can get that over at Lucy. And people all over at DNVR love Lucy. So if you want to get your hands on them, go to lucy.co/DNVR and use that promo code DNVR to get 20% off your first order. That's lucy.co/DNVR for 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. So check them out. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
And shout out to Empire today. Empire is awesome for a bunch of different reasons. They say here home floor advantage. I haven't done the read since they put home floor advantage. This is a new one. I'm very excited. It does make me think of like the Nuggets court, which is like wood.
Yeah.
I wonder how different their wood floor is than I guess ours is fake wood. Probably shouldn't tell people. But like if we were to put wood floors in our own homes, like is it like just the same wood, just maybe finished differently?
Get glossier.
Yeah.
I think so.
Probably is the same wood. If you want to be the expert on all this sort of stuff, you can go over to Empire today because they have all the answers. They aren't like big box store people. It's not. I probably shouldn't say their names either. But the people who sell like wood and like appliances and tools and all that stuff, all they do is floors, which means they know floors better than anybody. They have all the floor answers. If you want to schedule a free in-home estimate, you can do that today because some things are better at home. DNVR listeners can get a $350 discount when using the promo code DNVR. Yes, you heard right. A $350 discount with code DNVR. Restrictions apply. Visit Empire today/DNVR for full details.
Can I tell you a quick story about wood floors?
Yes.
So I lived with a roommate in college who didn't like sports or just wasn't into sports as much as I was. And we were watching a CU-UCLA basketball game at UCLA. And he just turns to me and he goes, "Why do they have to advertise in big letters that the floor is wooden?"
Oh my God.
It says wooden court.
No. Oh,
That's a good one.
Yeah.
that's sad.
And then another one from him while we're on the topic. I was watching March Madness, and at one point he just goes, "Who is Anwan?" And I was like, "What?" He's like, "What player is Anwan?" And I was like,
No.
I had no idea what he was talking. And then like someone got an Anwan. I was like, Anwan. He's like, "That? What is that?"
What are you saying?
Handle.
Well, someone that would understand that is Fran Duffy. Let's bring on the franchise to talk about the draft, which is 15 days away. And Fran, one of the conversations that we were just having was about Breece Hall and the rumor report out there that if Ashton Jeanty's there for the Jets at 7, they might consider him and then move on from Breece Hall. First, do you think that's a possibility? And then second, what would Breece Hall's value be from an outside perspective? Because we were talking about if the Broncos were potentially trade for him, we're thinking like 3rd, 4th round picks, the most we would give up for him. Could he go for a lot more there?
I don't imagine that it would be for too much more. I mean, just because of the injury history, my guess is that you're capping it as a 3. And maybe there's some kind of, there's some kind of add-on there, depending on, it's performance based. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't buy into this. I know that Aaron Glenn came out when he first got hired and said that it's going to be a committee backfield. We're going to use all 3 of these guys, I do take him at his word for that. My guess is that the New York Jets are posturing here because they know who they want to take, and I don't think that Ashton Jeanty is in the at the forefront of their minds. But look, crazier things have happened, I guess, in the top 10 of the draft. But my guess is they're going elsewhere.
It'd be so fun though. See, I'm skewed because I remember when he ran for 177 yards against the Broncos.
Yep.
So I remember him as being an incredible football player. I'm curious though, because he reminds me a lot of an Omarion Hampton. In this draft, I think there's some similarities there. Do you think just value-wise moving forward that Breece Hall or Hampton, like just this season, who's the better football player?
It's a good question. I think when you're looking at it, the injury history is what clouds it for Breece Hall, right? I think when he has been healthy, I've been really excited about what he has put on film with the New York Jets. The ability to be a two-way threat, I would love that in a Sean Payton offense. I think he's capable of being an early downs guy, but also can help in the pass game and do some things there. So to me, if let's say this was a legitimate possibility and you could pry him away from New York, I would not be against that for the Denver Broncos. As far as who is better, who would I rather have? I think I'd probably edge Hampton just because he's younger and doesn't have the injury history, but you could definitely convince me, especially considering it would take 20 overall to get Hampton. Would you rather have, insert player here, insert pass rusher, insert safety, insert tight end, whoever it is at 20 with Breece Hall, or would you rather have Hampton and whatever player at that position you can get in the 3rd round? That's a conversation you would have.
Fran, we've been talking a lot about Ashton Jeanty this week, And I'm just curious where you have him in terms of like the level of prospect he is. There's been some crazy names thrown around here on this set.
LaDainian Tomlinson is the name.
Of comparisons to him. Do you have him in that like all-time elite tier of running back prospect with like a Saquon Barkley?
No, I think he is just like a step below what Saquon was coming out. I think just because he had like the elite height, weight, speed combination that just made him a rare prospect. I do think that when you're looking at Jeanty, he's in the same tiers where Bijan was, and Bijan was an excellent player coming out of Texas. I do think that Bijan had just a little bit more juice and athletic upside than where you're seeing with Jeanty. And that's why Jeanty didn't work out in Indianapolis and at the pro day, is that he's like, look, I don't know that I'm going to necessarily like set this workout on fire. I think that was probably a smart move on his part, but I think he's an outstanding runner. He's an outstanding player, but I would have him more on the Bijan Robinson scale of things, which is still a really good player. And in this class is going to make him one of the top prospects available.
Yeah, and Fran, I would just want to piggyback off that because Bijan went in the top 10. It really, in my perspective, I think it's a lock that Ashton's going in the top 10 as well. And then that leaves 10 to 15 more picks for Omarion Hampton to get drafted by someone else before pick 20 at the Broncos. What odds, or what's your feeling right now that both of those running backs are going to be off the board before the Broncos pick at 20?
Yeah, the big landmine there is the Dallas Cowboys at 12. I think, and Mel Kiper now, it's been 3 straight mock drafts where he has put Hampton at 12 to the Dallas Cowboys. He has been pretty wired into the Dallas Cowboys in recent years. I know he gave them Tyler Smith in 2 of his last 3 mocks a couple of years ago. And so, I think that's certainly a possibility. Outside of that, I don't know if there's another team that would take Hampton before the Denver Broncos would be on the clock at 20. I think that, look, there are certainly some possibilities there, but I think that those teams would be more likely to go elsewhere. And so I do think that that's the team that you would kind of circle. Outside of that, like I've heard that the Denver Broncos are definitely in on Hampton, and I think that could be certainly the pick if he's on the board there at 20 overall.
What would you think if the Broncos choose TreVeyon Henderson if Hampton is still on the board? Because I know like Henderson fits what the Broncos need a little bit more, that joker role. And they do need just a true every down running back who can line up and take the ball between the tackles. But with Henderson there, he's the kind of guy that Alvin Kamara, Reggie Bush, Darren Sproles type who Sean Payton really likes to have. Would the draft grades like across the country just be awful if they took Henderson over Hampton?
Yeah, I don't think the draft grades would be particularly kind to that. But at the end of the day, like I don't think Sean Payton cares about that. I don't think George Payton cares about that. I do think that when you're evaluating Henderson, you do have to try and project moving forward. Like, are we going to get the ROI on that if we take him at 20 overall compared to not just Hampton, but other players at different positions? And that's what it's always tricky. When we get into mock draft season, we're in the thick of things, and it just becomes like this. Oh, the Denver Broncos, like give them a running back or a tight end in your mock draft and keep on rolling, right? And I think that we kind of fall into that trap as a draft media like landscape, into the zeitgeist as it becomes like, oh, just automatic, yeah, just pencil that guy in. And we don't take into account, like, all right, well, if Hampton is off the board, I don't think that they're just going to pigeonhole TreVeyon Henderson. And I think Sean Payton, he's been pretty outspoken on that since he got hired, that you have to take the best players. You have to, and they've always said, like, we're going to fortify the trenches. We're going to build inside out. We're going to go about this the right way. George Payton has felt that way as well. Now he has not been afraid to necessarily go outside the norms of positional value. We've talked about that in the past where, in day 2, obviously he's taken running backs, he's taken guards, he's taken off-ball linebackers, right? So I don't think that he would necessarily be scared of a running back that high. I just think when you're looking at Henderson, his best year was this year when he was he was like a Batman and Robin situation with he and Quinshon Judkins. He was unable to stay healthy the previous 2 years. And I think that's probably the biggest knock on the profile that would prevent him from being a pick that high in the draft.
Fran, I'm going with a kind of macro question here because I'm very interested in what you do and how you do it. If like 3 people mock Omarion Hampton to the Broncos, the word groupthink just starts getting like hammered, and it's just like, oh, groupthink. Do you think, from your perspective, that that's groupthink, or do you look at it and say like that's just where the information is pointing to?
It's a good question. I think that it depends on who the three people are. That's one big one. And that's why, when I'm looking at when I did like that mock draft exercise a couple weeks ago, and I'll have an updated version of that. I would say probably late next week, maybe early of draft week. Just to have as much information as possible. When I'm doing that mock draft exercise, I'm typically just pulling in mock drafts from, honestly, like from names that I respect in the space and names where I'm like, all right, like they're not going to necessarily always, cater to groupthink. It's going to be based off of intel that they are hearing from people that they talk to around the NFL, or maybe just based off being in the business for as long as they've been. And so, I definitely, you have to understand like where that intel is coming from. If you trust the source, then you trust the information, right? And I think that when you're looking at it, that's how I've always approached it. But yeah, that's a really good question, RK.
Well, Fran, if we were doing a dream mock draft on this show, I think both guys to on the sides of me would say Matthew Golden is the Broncos pick at 20.
Travis Hunter, but
Travis Hunter.
But a semi-realistic dream.
Oh, okay.
I think they'd both love Matthew Golden, and with Matthew Golden, it seems like the range for him is so big, at least in my perspective. Where do you think he's going to go? Like, is he a late round guy? Is he a guy that's always going to fall to the Broncos at 20? Or is he a guy where the Dallas Cowboys could draft him at 12, or he could even slide into the top 10?
Yeah, I would say the ceiling is 12. And it's funny, I was just on with our guys down at DLLS because Matthew Golden just visited down in Dallas. And and even like I spent the last couple weeks, just getting into phone calls with scouts, like just final check-ins, talking through players in their area, and talking through some guys that cover the Midwest or cover the Southwest rather, and talking about Matthew Golden. It's like, yeah, like he's a good player, but if we're talking about him that high, you're expecting that player to be the guy offensively, and I just don't know that Matthew Golden is that type of player. Now, he wouldn't be in Dallas, right? Like you've got CeeDee Lamb, so that fits there. But it's just it's a tough pill to swallow to take a guy that high if he's not going to truly be that like number one type of wide receiver. And you guys know what I mean when I say that. I think when you're looking at Matthew Golden, his fit in Denver. Yeah, like you have Courtland Sutton, who's going into a contract year. If they say, all right, we're going to commit to Courtland Sutton, he's going to be our number one. Golden's our number two. We're off and running. If you take him that high and you expect that Sutton's going to leave next season and he's going to be that number one, I feel like he might leave you wanting there a little bit. So that's just kind of how I feel about Golden and that value.
What's your comp for Matthew Golden?
I don't know that I necessarily have one. I think that when you're looking at the overall skill set, like I loved the polish. I loved he just feels like a very reliable wide receiver. Actually, here, so one guy I did write down while watching him was Jordan Addison, he was a mid first round pick coming out of USC, previously from Pitt. The hole in the profile with Golden was that even when he was at Houston the previous year, when you're looking at like, people look at target share and they say, okay, like this is indicative of like the team, the coaching staff for that college. They felt like we want to funnel the ball through this player, and that can be an indicator of future success. Last year it was at 18.5% target share for Matthew Golden. Like he was not the guy. That's a really, really low number, like single digit percentile amongst all receivers drafted in the last decade. So it's just that's an outlier number in terms of like, all right, like he wasn't the guy in college. Are we expecting him to be the guy? And honestly, when I watched Jordan Addison when he was at USC, that's kind of how I felt about him. And he went to Minnesota. He doesn't need to be the guy because he got Justin Jefferson, right? So it kind of works that way. I think if you squint, you might see like an Amari Cooper level of player, a good separator, can be a reliable possession receiver, but not like a true game breaker. Then he goes and he runs 4.3. Now, I would say the next time you watch him play 4.3 on film would probably be the first time. And in my eyes, like I don't necessarily see a guy that plays that way, but that's why it makes it a tricky profile.
All right, Fran, final one for you. In 15 days, the Broncos are on the clock, and a number 20 they select.
As we sit here today, I'll be doing a mock draft next week. I think it'll probably be Omarion Hampton is the name that I'm going to go with, and we'll see like how those conversations evolve and how that opinion evolves here in the coming 14 days. But I would say right now, if I'm doing a mock draft, if Hampton's on the board, I think that would be my pick for the Broncos.
Classic groupthink.
Appreciate you, Fran. Thanks so much for being on.
Appreciate it, boys. We'll talk next week.
See you, Fran.
Looking forward to it. Do you like that groupthink, Brian? Or are you bashing it?
No, I mean, I think if that was the pick, everyone would get on board with it.
Speaking of, I definitely think so too. And honestly, I think it's trust Sean Payton. I mean, I think he's earned that right now.
I don't know how he couldn't.
And also, guys, I'm sorry. I brought up Matthew Golden's name to try to make you guys happy. I didn't know he was gonna kind of dampen that.
I think everything he said was fairly right. Like,
okay,
if you're drafting him in the top 10, then you're expecting to be that guy. If you're drafting him at 20, if you're expecting to find that guy at 20, I think you're gonna be disappointed.
Totally. Yeah. Also, whoever in the chat said Ashton Jeanty looks like he runs a 4.5, wrong. Go back and watch the Oregon game. Watch him just pull away, change the angles on all the Oregon DBs, and you should feel better.
Boom, there we go.
These
and
animals.
One thing that's gonna make you feel much better is checking out our friends over at Raising Cane's, where if you need a good meal, you want good food, delicious food, you're going to find that over at Raising Cane's every single time. And might I recommend the box combo, where they will make your dreams come true, where every chicken finger is hand battered and cooked to order just for you. Their crinkle cut fries come out grade A with premium potatoes. They've got thick sliced Texas toast that's lightly brushed with Cane's garlic butter blend and grilled on the griddle to golden brown perfection. And most importantly, the secret recipe in the Cane sauce is made in restaurant every single day, making the full box combo so special for you. What you can even do is you can take that full box combo and make it your own sandwich. Some people like to do that, and you got to check out our friends over at Raising Cane's. Get your box combo today and make your craveable dreams a reality. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
Also, shout out to our friends over at Bet365. To me, this is an all-time sportsbook week because of the Masters.
Yeah.
To me, like, not everyone's into watching golf on TV. I think if you put some bets in, you might be.
You'll be locked in.
And if you go over to Bet365, use the code DNVR365, bet $5 on anything today, you get $150 in free bets for tomorrow. Just sprinkle that around on some golfers, and then have a great weekend.
No, I've never bet on golf. So are you just betting to win it all, or do you bet every round?
See, I gamble to gamble.
Exactly.
So yes, I'm betting to win it all.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
If you're betting to win money, then maybe you get a little bit more, conservative with it. Like, you can get guys at like plus 350 to be in the top 10, which is intriguing for some, but for some reason it's just not for me in golf.
No,
because it's like Bryson DeChambeau plus 2,000.
I'm all about that. That's why I'm mostly about money lines too, because I want to see who wins.
Yeah, but
that's what I'm confident in.
I'm doing this with the understanding that I'm gambling.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
I want to do that.
Yeah,
it's fun.
And with free bets, it's perfect.
Exactly. Free bets, gamble away.
Free bets. If you take anything under plus 650, you're making a huge mistake.
I might parlay Bryson DeChambeau to win, Avs to win the Stanley Cup, and like Rockies under.
Rocky's under. You bring the vibes down. It's a smart bet.
I looked at your.
Damn, you're trying to bring me down.
Yeah,
now.
sorry. Anyways, get over to Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 for $150 in bonus bets. Must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
And shout out to everyone tuning in with us. Hit us with a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. Helps us out a lot, and we appreciate everyone that's tuning in with us on April 9th. Not exactly football season, but that's why we're here for you guys, diehards. We're here every single week, every single day of the weekend. Draft 15 days away, so let's get into our 15 for 15, looking at the Broncos' top 15 draft prospects. Not necessarily the top guys, but the guys that we think could become Broncos. We talked about Tyler Warren yesterday. Let's talk about Colston Loveland today. And we kind of touched on him, so I don't think this is going to be a long conversation, but how would you guys feel about Colston Loveland being a Bronco?
I would feel good about it. He's a really, really, really good prospect. And I honestly think there's a strong case he should be in front of Tyler Warren in this. Like, when you just look at the body type and the build and the athleticism, like, it's just so easy to see it translating in him becoming a really good NFL tight end. Like, he's 6'6", he's 248 pounds, and I think he just turned 21. He might not turn 21 yet. He's been a really good football player for 3 years.
Aging in Zach's eyes.
That is aging. He was 20 before, if he is now 21. So it's aging.
He can have a drink, and so he's still a young boy.
Yeah. He's definitely a bit of a project, though. Like, you're waiting a couple years before you're expecting him to be like a Pro Bowl type tight end. But again, just super incredible prospect.
That lines up so perfectly with
true.
the Broncos
Yep.
right now because you don't need him. You have Evan Engram.
Whoever you draft in the first round, you need.
You only need him if he's a running back.
Don't draft someone in the first round if you don't need them right now.
Well, then you're only drafting running back. You don't need anyone else.
You
in
need
my
a
opinion.
wide receiver.
In my opinion, you don't.
Really badly.
In my opinion, you don't. What I found interesting along these lines, Ryan, really quick. So we talked about Tyler Warren yesterday. So the pod poll that we put out on Twitter, which I think over 1,000 people voted on, was if Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland are available, would you draft them in the first round? And I thought I was in the minority yesterday, kind of being a little bit more open to that than you guys. And 72% of people actually said they would take a tight end, which I was a little surprised about because of Evan Engram on the team.
Yeah, I swear it's just because everyone got in a tight end mindset before we had Evan Engram, and they know about these guys and they like them. I don't trying hard not to be like anti anyone.
Yeah.
Because there's always a chance that guy becomes a Bronco.
Yep.
If Colston Loveland became a Bronco, I wouldn't be mad at him.
You're just disappointed.
I think that he can be a good I think that he has a chance to be a very good player.
Yep.
I would be mad at the process that led to us drafting potentially the second tight end in the first round. Most likely the second tight end in the first round. Which again, it's not always 1-for-1 comp. We did that once before. Didn't work at all.
True.
That's completely irrelevant to these two players. But
With Noah
Riley
Fant.
Odom.
yeah, Noah Fant came after TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's not totally drafting Brock Osweiler when you have Peyton Manning, but it's a cousin of that, and I don't like that. I want to draft guys that we need, and do it so that we can win more immediately, not so that we have a nice backup plan for when Evan Engram, the guy that we paid a bunch of money so we could win now, is out.
The good news is, though, you can play multiple tight ends at the same time. And I do think that's what Sean Payton would do. In fact, Evan Engram might just become a wide receiver that has a tight end in front of his name. And then Colston Loveland's more of your traditional tight end. I think both of these guys, if they do it, Ryan, I think they're essentially saying Colston Loveland and Evan Engram are a better wide receiver tight end duo than who we thought we could have drafted as a receiver in the first round. So I just think you'd have to take the tight end away from it, and they'd just be receiving weapons for Sean.
Yeah. I mean, I would take 3 different wide receivers before I took Loveland.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like Jess is saying, Noah Fant can't hold Loveland's jockstrap. Like, I think people forget how high everyone was on Noah Fant.
Noah Fant was electric.
He was athletic as can be.
Yes, and looked awesome
Yep.
at Iowa.
Yeah. I wonder what would happen if we compared their numbers.
Well, Andy was from Iowa, which tight end
Tight
you.
end you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, any final thoughts on Colston Loveland before we dive into our mock draft?
No.
Is Iowa's tight end coming out?
Lachey.
He had the name of like
Yes.
a Backstreet Boy. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, Nick Lachey.
Yeah.
Luke Lachey.
Luke Lachey.
Well, isn't Nick Lachey the...
Oh,
Yeah,
is he?
yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't think so.
Is that 98 degrees?
He's like a
I
day
think.
3 guy if he is. I thought he was supposed to come out this year, though. I'll double check.
there's plenty of Iowa
sign me
people
up
in the
for
Twitter chat. Let us know.
For Lachey.
I'm
He
sure
is
we can
coming
have
out
a
this
shirt
year.
for that one. Okay, let's dive into our mock draft 2.0. We did one last week, and do you guys remember how it ended? What it ended with the Broncos getting?
Travion Henderson.
Yes, well, we had 2 different outcomes. One was Colston Loveland, and the other one was Travion
okay.
Henderson because I changed my mind after I had the Broncos pick. So we're going to change it up here by who drafts in what order. So, Ryan, I think you were first last time, right? Because you went with
I think I
Shador
was
number
third.
1.
No, I was third. You guys went Shador,
Oh, yes.
Travis, 1,
Okay,
2.
then I'm going to go 1 because you went 1 last time, and I believe Shador was number 1 last time. And I'm just going to go with what I think is going to happen here, and that's with the first overall pick in the draft. The Tennessee Titans select Cam Ward, who I just saw betting odds, which, by the way, are up over Bet365 now, minus 20,000.
What?
Minus 20,000. So I'm just going to stick with where the betting odds say. I hate those betting odds. I think Shador is 50-1, which is so incredible value, but that's just what the betting odds are saying. So I'm going to go with the first pick. It is Cam Ward. And Brian, this isn't against Shador. I just think that's what they're going to do.
It's groupthink.
Exactly.
I think I'll do the one that makes this the most interesting here, and also obviously very possible. I'll say that the Browns. Remember when John always said, like, I'm not afraid to keep taking big swings?
And missing, yeah.
Yeah, I think the Browns are afraid.
Oh.
And so they do the smart and easy and sensible thing, and they take Travis Hunter here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. I
Giants.
Wait, I got to get my draft.
This is a tough one. Because they have... So Abdul Carter's on the board. They already have Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. You could always add... all the vibes say it probably isn't Shador, but let's just go Mason Graham.
Go Mason Graham.
Yep.
Okay. Wait, really quick.
Yes.
I'm using PFF's mock simulator, and they don't have Travis Hunter,
I'm trying to use it too, and it's not working for me either.
and they don't have an option
wow.
here.
I see Travis Hunter.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Cam Ward to the Titans, then Travis Hunter to the Browns.
Travis Hunter's number 1 on the board.
And then, maybe I just didn't see it. And then Mason Graham going 3.
Yep.
So now, oh my gosh, my mock draft simulator is not working. This is tough.
Yeah.
Okay, so with the 4th overall pick, now we have. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Patriots are on the board, are on the clock. They've got Abdul Carter, Ashton Jeanty,
And
Shador Sanders.
they're gonna go. They're gonna go Will Campbell here. They wanted Travis Hunter, but he's gone, so they're going Will Campbell. They have to
That's
protect.
crazy.
They have to. What's crazy about it? They have to protect Drake May.
Well, Abdul Carter slipping to 5 is crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Chat's gonna lose their mind on that.
Yep.
So
Does
is
that
he?
mean-
Is
am
he?
I up now?
Is he slipping beyond that?
That is you, yes, Ryan.
The
The Jags.
Jags will take. Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
They do the Broncos Bradley Chubb thing where they're just like, we never knew he was even gonna. We actually didn't even study him,
Yeah.
but once he fell to us, we couldn't pass him up.
Who's their defensive coordinator? He was the happiest guy in the room.
Joe Woods.
No, the Jags.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He couldn't believe it.
I mean, that'd be pretty good for them.
Yeah.
I've got the Raiders, and they're going Jeanty.
Okay.
Yeah. So Shadur's still on the board.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
And now we have the New York Jets. Do they throw a wrench in everything and go Shador?
They should.
They should,
Jets.
but
Yeah.
they're not going to. They see Tyler Warren on the board, and they are getting a big-time weapon. They're pissed they passed on Brock Bowers last year, so they are getting Tyler Warren this year.
All right, that leaves Carolina. I'm gonna say Carolina goes with Will Campbell. Or sorry, Will Johnson.
Okay. Yeah, no, I've got the Saints
That's
at
good.
9. Again, like, it feels like I should give him Shador, but only because of the groupthink.
That's
Like, it's...
the groupthink of the past week, that's for
this
sure.
is simple groupthink.
Is it groupthink though? If Coach Prime is on set with NFL Network saying, "I love these colors,"
Yeah, he does. He loves that stuff. He loves that stuff. Because again, a week ago, nobody was saying that Shador is going to fall the way of the Saints, but now everybody's saying it's the Saints.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna groupthink and say it's the Saints.
yeah, good.
Wow.
That's my only groupthink pick because I'm not gonna let him fall to 10.
Yeah. And if they fell to 10, well, the Chicago Bears weren't going to take him, and they are on the board.
By the way, Shador going to New Orleans would be so sick.
Whoa. What if he falls to 11 and the 49ers take him and don't re-sign Brock Purdy?
That would, I mean,
That'd be wild.
That would be the move.
I actually think that the 49ers could potentially trade up to do that.
I think so too. You can't pay Brock
It's
Purdy.
so quiet in that realm right now that I think it's a possibility. And I agree. Pay Brock Purdy, kiss your Super Bowl window
yeah,
goodbye.
goodbye to any success.
If I'm Brock Purdy, I'm saying you better give me a new deal before the draft because I'm worried
And
about
we
this
say,
happening.
nope, sorry, Brock Purdy.
I think that would indicate a potential move like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if this happens, all they would have to do if they trade up is what? Trade to 8?
Yeah.
I can't believe I group thought. This would have been way better.
It's true.
Yeah,
Oh.
you did, but you group thought, and now the Chicago Bears are on the board, and they're going to help their defense. They're going to go Jalen Walker, edge out of Georgia here.
Nice. Why isn't he on my board?
That's what I'm
Is he
saying.
down the list? He is down the list.
Now you have San
Interesting.
Francisco.
49ers trade with the Saints. No,
Jackson Dart,
it's not loading.
Jalen
Oh,
Milroe.
no.
You want to go quarterback?
Okay, give me the list of guys here. Who's on the board again?
We got
49ers.
Yep, 49ers. Do you want some players that are
Yeah,
available? You've got the offensive tackle from Missouri, Membu.
Yep.
You have T-Mac, Kelvin Banks, Jaheed Barron, Shamar Stewart, Jihad Campbell, Mike Green, Colston Loveland,
Do they go?
Matthew Golden.
I don't know. Someone help me out here.
Let's see. They always like their defensive linemen. If you went with like a Shamar Stewart, that could be the move.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
Hopefully this thing loads back up.
That's-
Oh gosh,
Probably a good pick.
it's all.
Oh,
all
it's
over
done.
now.
We'll
It's
help you.
cooked.
We'll help you from
I
here
tried to
on out.
refresh and it sent me back to square one.
So I've got the Cowboys now at 12. They're taking Armand Membu. Get a right tackle.
Wow. Okay. I mean, probably a
Not
very.
a very Jerry move.
That's not sexy.
That
at all.
is true, but it's the move that they've been desperately needing to
And not
make.
to say that they haven't drafted lineman high, because that's how they built a really good line in the first place. But I feel like that fan base needs something to hang their hat on right now.
Yeah, like Omarion Hampton.
What's happening
might
with
have-
Tyreek Hill? Because the Miami Dolphins are on the clock right now with pick 13.
They're trading him to the Broncos.
Okay, well then,
Wow.
if that's the case, they
That would
need
be a
That'd
real.
be so crazy.
People would have some real conflicted emotions.
Everybody be on one side or the other.
Yep.
Do you think
I
that
know which side you'd be
Tyreek
on.
Hill might be gone though?
Yeah. I mean, he thinks he might be gone, so who am I to say he won't be?
Then they get his replacement. Matthew Golden is the pick
Wow.
for the Dolphins right there. Come on. Mike McDaniel's not going to go into a season without speed at
Might
receiver.
be a good pick, even if they keep Tyreek
Yes.
Hill.
Oh, that would be wild. So now, unfortunately, guys, he's off the board.
That's okay. Who's up?
You with Colts.
Yep.
The Indianapolis Colts here. I'm just going to say
What does it say in their needs category?
Colston Loveland.
Yeah,
Tight
only
end.
only tight ends worse than the Broncos last year.
Potentially receiver.
Was it Tyler Warren went off the board, right?
Yeah, Tyler Warren's gone.
Yeah, give me Loveland.
There we go. Well, Ryan, you don't have to worry about a first-round tight end for the Broncos now.
You never know. People are going to start saying Arroyo should go at 20 now.
I've got the Falcons now at 15. We're going T-Mac.
Wow.
They could use one more weapon there, and with Penix, that's what you want is those big guys on the sidelines. T-Mac and Drake London
And Kyle Pitts.
and Kyle Pitts.
and Bijan.
Yep,
Oh my! I mean, I like it.
and Mooney's your speed guy.
I feel like they would end up 8-9 and win their division, and it's underwhelming, but they're exciting to watch.
And then they might pull off an upset by putting up 50 in a playoff game.
It's true, especially because they would still have home field advantage because that rule wasn't changed at the owners' meetings.
By the way, I'm so excited to watch Michael Penix
Me
throw
too.
the football.
Me too.
He's so fun to watch.
He is so fun to watch.
It is crazy how he throws that ball. So now it is the Arizona Cardinals on the clock right now. Guys, I have no idea where the Cardinals are going to go with this pick. We'll go James Pierce Jr. They've really
Whoa.
focused on their defensive line, and they continue to focus on their front seven here.
That's my hottest draft take.
What?
He's the best edge in the class.
I don't hate it.
I mean, you would be not overthinking this past year, which sometimes it is smart.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I mean, he was like the number one defensive player a year ago for projected for this draft
Yeah.
And then he was the most important part of what, top 5 defense in the country?
with Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just not falling for the trap that is seeing Micah Parsons when I see a Penn State pass rusher wearing number 11.
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
There's been a lot of-
get off, man. It's good.
There are a lot of those number 11s from Penn State, though. and it's been a pretty good bet to go after him.
You see the next one?
No.
Maybe.
LeVar Arrington Jr.
Oh, that's right. Because LeVar Arrington was one of the number 11s, right?
That's dope. And how about who was the Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? That was the first one where I'm like,
That made
old,
you feel
man.
old? Yeah.
I'm like, wait, he's getting a $500 million contract, and I saw his dad. That's crazy.
Navarro Bowman.
like Champ Bailey's youngest son just got an offer from Colorado.
Youngest, wow, that's wild. Is that why he was at the pro day?
I don't know if youngest, but he did have an older son who played at CSU, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that why Champ was at the pro day?
No, it happened after he was at the pro day.
Wow. Well, then is that why Champ was at the pro day?
I don't know. He's been in practice all week.
Wait.
Like that.
Oh, Champ has been in practice.
came
Oh,
back.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
he has
Wow. That's cool. So he joined the staff, defensive backs coach.
Well, you say that, but it wouldn't surprise
I know
anyone.
it would fit. It would fit with exactly what's happened. Okay, so Ryan, you were on the clock with the Cincinnati Bengals at pick 17.
Okay, they need offensive line.
Kelvin Banks is on the board. He's an offensive tackle. You say positions, and I can read them to you. Josh Simmons, an offensive tackle from Ohio State, is on the board.
Go Banks.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah.
All right, there you
So
go.
I've got the Seahawks, who now have Cooper Kupp. Offensive line, they could use like an interior guy. No tight ends on the board. If they get weird with one of these linebackers, that might be the move.
I kind of thought about that with the Niners,
Yeah.
just since they lost Dre.
Yeah.
Let's go Jihad Campbell here from Bama.
I like that. I like that a lot. Now the Bucks are on the board, one pick before the Broncos, and they're gonna go Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia, which Ryan puts the Broncos on the board. And I'm happy the draft. I lost it. It just
my
reset.
God,
It
no.
just so we were relying on you, Henry. Oh no, we got. Okay,
Just have to
Dion's got
squint.
the board for us. He's
Okay.
been tracking along. I know mine just reloaded. Okay, so who do we have? Henry / Dion?
Wait, I think this is
This is
Ryan's.
my pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
Oh, okay, who'd I get?
Who's
Set
on
the table
Who's
for
on the
me.
clock?
So to me,
Who's available?
I like the defensive tackles with Walter Nolan and Derek Harmon. I'd take one of them. You have some of the edge rushers like
Still have
Michael Williams.
Hampton.
Hampton is still there. Yes,
Kenneth Grant.
Agbuka's still there. There we go. Yeah, Kenneth Grant if you're looking for like the big plugger nose tackle. Jahdae Barron.
T-Mac's gone, right?
Yes.
So is Buka the clear wire?
Yes.
wire
Unless
one?
you
Top
like
wide
Luther
receiver.
Burden.
That's true.
Do like Luther Burden.
Marion Hampton. Still have Nick Emenwari.
You know what? I've been on this. Been pounding this table. This is my opportunity to solidify my take.
It is.
Give me a Buka.
All right. There we go.
And to me, it fills a massive hole for the Broncos, which is a reliable receiver. It's just something that they don't have. Cortland obviously was reliable, but outside of that, there's just no one else you can look to move the chains for you. I think there would be some pushback or people that are not blown away by the numbers, but I'm not concerned about the numbers because I've seen the tape.
I think you're just getting a damn good football player. Will he ever be game changing? I mean, Henry's stats that he throws out, what, one 100-yard game in the past 2 seasons combined?
26 games.
Would probably point to no, but also the floor. So the ceiling might be a little lower, but the floor is really high on him. I mean, you're not getting a bust as a football player. You're getting a possession guy. When you throw him the ball, he's going to catch it. He's going to move the chains and rack up tons of catches.
I mean, he fits kind of like a profile of a lot of these guys who have come out of Ohio State recently.
Yes.
Of just like reliable, good football players who you really like having in your wide receiver stack. He's like someone said Vele wasn't reliable. I mean, I guess he's just not anything else. So I would be really, really stoked about this pick. And there, you could even make the case that like he might have a better rookie season than the other two who went before him.
Yeah, statistically, definitely you can make a case for that. And Egbuka in the Twitter chat saying, well, the Broncos already have their slot receiver in Evan Engram. I agree with that, but Egbuka can play all over the place. Whereas T-Mac, probably an outside guy. Matthew Golden.
You could use T-Mac.
T-Mac, yeah.
I think Egbuka would be the most versatile one, though,
I think so too.
among these three, at least year one, early on. Wow, Blake saying roast this man. Is he talking about you, Ryan?
I think a lot of people were in on it.
Yeah, I do think so.
Yeah.
Certainly not the Colston Loveland people. Not only did we not take the Michigan tight end, but we took someone from Ohio State.
Yeah, it's true. Well, Colston, nothing Broncos could do. He was off the board.
It's true.
So you're relieved of that.
Whose snaps is he getting? Anyone's.
How about the 50% of snaps Lil Jordan played?
Sure. And he also is a good blocker out there.
Yep.
It's
Like Lil Jordan.
the way this draft fell is fascinating. It felt like it was defensive line or Egbuka that was left among like anyone that and I guess Trevion Henderson as well.
And Omar Hampton.
Hampton was still available too. Okay, yeah. Then that.
I'm
Yeah.
just not a Hampton guy.
Agreed.
Doesn't mean I don't like him.
Yep.
But there's a lot of people who are like Hampton guys or gals. And I'm just not in that group.
Are any of us?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Someone needs to, carry that torch.
Yeah.
Become a Hampton guy, Zach.
Henry, no, Henry is.
No.
Anytime, what? Okay, anytime I'd be like, man, he just reminds me of Javonte Williams, and it might just be looking at the jersey too much.
Yeah.
You would always defend him, how he's like faster, stronger,
He is faster.
And he's bigger.
better.
I mean, just different, I would say. Yeah, as a first round pick, I don't have much interest in this draft. Last year, then sure, because there were no other running backs.
Yeah.
But this year, I'd rather just snag somebody in the third round.
And a really good point, just Ryan, you talked about it earlier, but one just to bring up, Sean Payton doesn't give a damn what people think. And he was crushed for drafting Bo Nix as the sixth quarterback in the draft, using the 12th overall pick on him. He didn't care. And he knew he was going to get crushed, and he still got crushed and didn't care. So if Sean Payton, if anyone's not going to follow groupthink, it is Sean Payton.
Was it the Olave pick post Sean?
Yes. Was right, I think, the year after he left. Because it's been, I think, over a decade since Sean's gone receiver in the first round. But in the first decade of Sean coaching the Saints, he did go receiver twice in the first round.
Which was who?
And then immediately...
Brandon Cooks and...
Robert Meacham.
Eesh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meacham. Yeah. So that's how it falls. Where would you have gone there, Henry?
Probably Walter Nolan. It might have been Derek Harmon, but one of those defensive tackles. Like, they're just better football players, I think, than the other guys on the board. But Egbuka's good too. It's just
really good football player.
Yeah. I just want a little more upside with those other guys.
Would you guys consider Burden there?
Yeah, I would. I'm anti groupthink. Groupthink is like slowly becoming out on Burden.
Wow. Yeah.
The only
Big
thing
time.
is the only burden I carry when I'm thinking of making this pick.
Oh boy.
Is the Broncos have Marvin Mims,
And Troy Franklin.
And so he's a little more like those guys than Egbuka. So that's my hang up.
Yeah. I'd probably go Egbuka. If they went Burden, it'd be really exciting though.
Burden, like,
Because he's just
the
so
way
fast.
that he moves is close. Emphasis on not that close, but close to Travis Hunter.
Wow.
There's just like a
Not that
shiftiness and like a bag of moves thing that only certain guys have.
For you to say that.
Like I said, it's not there, but you can see it. If you squinted really hard, you might be able to see it.
Well, and the jerseys are similar too. Black and
Yeah.
kind of gold mustard.
Yeah, but I want the reliable guy rather than the flashy guy.
That's very fair, man. Daniel Sapp, just want to give you credit because you're just convincing me more that it's not going to be a receiver. How did the Meacham pick work out? How did the Brandon Cooks pick work out?
I mean, how did the Jamar Chase pick? Like,
Exactly,
what are we talking
yeah.
about?
With Sean Payton.
I know. I'm just
Sean
saying.
Payton's
just
only
so
had two,
long.
and they
Just 'cause
both
they got
have
it
a
wrong.
wrong.
That was back when
Yeah.
drafting receivers was hard too. Like at this point, there's just like 6 first rounders every year.
I don't think he's going that direction, but we got many more days to talk about this, and you're not going to want to miss tomorrow's show. It's going to be an absolute awesome show. Please be there. Unlike Ryan, who's not going to be there, please make sure you're there. 11 a.m. Huge announcement, plus a very special guest and an awesome interview tomorrow, 11 a.m. DNVR Broncos Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.